rolling.
So how did this all start?
Right, well, how did we start? We bought a camper van, and while my husband was we need spare tyres and seatbelts and a tow rope, I was like, no, we need stickers and bunting and fairy lights and things like that. And I couldn't find any. I couldn't find anything that was cool, that was related to the area that we lived. And I just thought, you know what, I think I can do this myself. So I designed 12 hiking patches to start with, and we went from there.
And what inspired you to come up with these products?
I think the inspiration behind the product was probably American national parks. I'd visited a couple of national parks when I was younger, and I'm from the Lake District. I'm Cumbrian born and bred, and the way that we celebrate our national parks is quite different to how the Americans do. We kind of quite twee here, maps on tea towels, a lot of fridge magnets. Just didn't have that cool vibe, didn't reflect the new kind of people that we have visiting the Lake District. So the people are doing all the the paragliding and the mountain biking and all those adrenaline sports that we're kind of famous for here now. Those guys were looking for something cool, something different. So yeah, I kind of took the inspiration from how the American national parks celebrate, what they're doing over there.
And what sort of ambitions did you have starting out?
Starting out, I didn't really have a lot of ambition. It was totally by accident that this business even started. I created 12 patches. I thought maybe a few people might like them, and that was it. I hadn't planned on starting a business. There was no kind of forward-thinking planning or anything. It was literally a few patches, let's see, what we can do with it, and that was it really.
And how long has this business been running?
The business has been running for 3 years now. We started in 2018, and the shop is 3 months old. So the shop here that we're in today is brand new, but we've been selling online, and we have 57 stockists across several national parks in the UK.
What difficulties have you faced?
Oh gosh, difficulties that I've faced. Well, the business was never planned. I've never run a business in my life, so it was quite a steep learning curve. And I actually enrolled on a 3-day business course and was given a business advisor, the first person for me to speak to about the business, and he just didn't get it. His reaction was, and who do you think is going to buy these? And that was the first kind of kick in the teeth for me, really, because I was here, hoping for some kind of support, and from this guy who was a very successful businessman in Cumbria, and his first reaction to what we were doing was, yeah, I don't get it. Who do you think is going to buy these? So that was the first difficulty to kind of overcome. Really, was a confidence issue. Then we had our first 12 patches, and the samples arrived. We had 1,200 of them just before the Keswick Mountain Festival, a really famous festival. I thought, this is my people, hiking patches, it's the mountain festival, this is where we're going to explode, people are going to find us, it's going to be amazing. And we got a table in the marquee there, and we were there 3 days, and we sold nothing. And that was the second huge sucker punch. I just thought, wow, I think I've just got this wrong. I'd invested our savings in kind of starting up. Getting samples made is actually really expensive, and I thought, I think I've just got this wrong. But I was just convinced. I was convinced that it would work. So I went around all the shops in Keswick, and I told them that the idea was amazing and that we'd sold out. We'd sold every single one of them, which obviously was a complete lie, because I just had full faith. And they all took them, and they all sold out within a week.
And sorry, I lost the question. How did overcoming this challenge make you feel?
Yeah, relief, huge relief, really, because I had basically sold our product to 30 shops in the Lake District within the space of about 3 weeks after the Mountain Festival, which was a complete flop. And I'd gone out and I'd spoken to these really amazing kind of businesses, local businesses, and said, you know what, these are amazing. We totally sold out, and you know, it sold them something really that that hadn't proven to be great so far. So it was just massive relief that, you know, that I basically what I thought might happen had happened, and that people did like them, and they were a success after all.
And would you say that this is a very important passion of yours?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And I think that's because of the interaction that we get from so many other people. I mean, I think the Lake District has people have so many emotional ties to the Lake District and to places within the Lake District, and it's been part of those stories. So since starting the patch collection, I mean, obviously the shop now has expanded into all different kinds of things, but originally we were just selling patches, and people coming to us and saying, you know, I got this patch because that's where my husband proposed, or that's where my dad's ashes are scattered, or, you know, we as a family we didn't do much, but now I'm getting the kids out on the fells because we are collecting your patches. And just being involved in some way in so many stories of other people's and their links to the Lake District is just it's just amazing, and especially now being in the shop, seeing people face to face. For the last 3 years it's been a kitchen table hustle, so I haven't been able to really connect with people, but now we have them coming in and they're saying to us, you know what, you've just massively inspired us, or, you know, we've done this and that because we only hike the fells that we have patches for, and it's great to see how we're kind of connecting with folk in that way.
What advice would you give to someone, you know, trying to start out in this kind of thing, you know, struggling with it?
Yeah, do you know what? I think you've just got to go with it, follow your gut. I think it's never too late. I mean, I was 40, my background is in law. I was 40 when I started this business. And yeah, it's difficult. There's always going to be something to overcome, but I think if you know, are really passionate about it and you give it everything, then, you know, there's a good chance that you could succeed in what you wanted to do. Go on.
Then come to Keswick for you to exercise.
Did anyone get any shots?
Yeah, we did. Do you want to take some stills of it? Oh, anyway, I
I think the glare is
I just got
gonna
one
be
shot of
much.
them, basically.
Yeah. It's just, we need to block them. Maybe if you go outside, but not from the inside. Actually,
Nothing better.
lower it down a bit. Keep pressing it. It's still a bit a lot. Glare.
2, 1, action.
Cue. Smell some cafes. Sound myself. If you just slap it on there. Thank you.
Alright, there. Is it recording?
Yeah. Anything else needed, we reckon?
Do you want to go? Okay.
Fuck. A shot. You guys can talk. It's this lot talking about the film.
Still together, right?
Alexa, next.
Pattern to remember, I smoke to forget. Just stay on that one.
So I was saying, just do this, please.
Okay, recording now.
So when did you start rock climbing?
Probably, I would say about 4 years ago. I'd done most other sports, and something that my partner Susan had done. It appealed to me. It was a good challenge, a new thing to put my physical exertion into.
Oh, I've done more climbing with Gary, indoor than outdoor, really, haven't I? Oh, yeah.
And how long have you been climbing for?
It's probably 4 or 5 years, I would say, in total. Predominantly indoors, but some outdoor climbing.
What would you say are some of the struggles that you both faced?
Mine's my joints, arthritis. My old joints, yeah, climbing. But it's good for you, keeps you fit, keeps you strong, yeah, and supple.
Yeah, similar vein to me. It's a combination of trying to overcome sort of age-related aches and pains, but from a mental point of view, it's a good struggle. It's a real good challenge. It tests you because both of us have like been really, I would not high-level sports people, but a lot of sport throughout our lives, and this is really different. It's a different combination. You can't just force your way through. You have to think about it. Yeah, it's a problem solver. That's what I like about it.
And what would you say? Could you explain the feeling that you get when you're at the top of the rock and put both your hands on the final rock?
So climbing's a bit weird because it's the management of the feeling all the way up, and what you're trying to do is have basically the same level of feeling from the top to the bottom, and quite obviously there's relief when you get to the top because you don't want to fall. It's a natural instinct, and especially if it's a really difficult route, obviously it's pleasurable. You've overcome, but each hold is a kind of struggle in itself, so you don't get a cumulative feeling of unbelievable, that's great, I've done it. But it kind of as you go along, you have to leave it behind, so that little struggle's left behind. It's the next thing you need to concentrate on, so that's why it's quite hard. You have to forget about what you've done on the route. Yeah.
Would you say that rock climbing requires problem-solving skills?
Oh yes, definitely. Definitely, man.
It's probably 70-30 percentage-wise in terms of problem solving to physical. On a intermediate level, it's not physically. It's reasonably difficult, but after an intermediate level, it's mostly problem solving. You can't just climb using strength and technique.
And how many hours do you spend in the centre climbing on average?
Too many. Well, on an average, we would spend at least 3 hours, at least. And everybody else has gone home. We're still here, and like big kids.
Struggling on.
Did you come like a week or a month? Or?
Depending on sort of like other commitments, but
If we could, it would be maybe 3 times a week.
Yeah.
If we could.
between 2 and 4 or 5 times a week, depends really.
And what does wall climbing mean to you?
For me, it's a real good challenge. It's a physical and mental thing, and each time you come, you're different. It's adapting to you get there on the day, maybe you've had a bad day, you've had a good day, you feel good physically, you don't. And the days that I feel that I enjoy it the most are really when I'm the most tired or I'm struggling, because that's the most satisfying, to overcome it on a struggly day, not when you're feeling great. You can fly up,
And what does climbing mean to you?
Oh, it's, I just find it's good fun, and I enjoy doing it. I just like to play.
And now, have you ever wanted to give up?
From a climbing point of view, do you mean?
Yeah.
Overall, or just on a particular climb or on a day?
Each stove?
Yeah, so there's days when I've come and I'm really like completely climbing rubbish, and I think, I'm just not even trying it. I just stop, but that comes from not me personally giving up, because I'm very determined. It's the realization that can't be done today under the circumstances. Come back another day, but I'll be coming back to do it. So it kind of makes me more determined to come back and do it, but I realise I've got to accept that on the day. That's part of climbing. You can only do so much, and you have to stop.
In general, just like, have you ever considered giving it up as an overall hobby?
No, I would not give it up unless physically I couldn't do it. People do give it up if something traumatic happened, a friend was killed or something like that. You do find that, but generally not. People who climb tend to be of a certain mindset. So, and once you get past that like intermediate level, you wouldn't give up. No.
Do you consider yourselves passionate about rock climbing then?
I'll let you answer that one first.
I just enjoy doing a little bit of climbing, a little bit of cycling, a little bit of swimming, a little bit of everything. Yeah.
I would
Just
say
keep moving.
Yeah, I am more passionate now than I was, because as you improve, obviously you enjoy it more. So it's a really cool thing. And sort of, because we're sort of 60 plus, you realise you're not going to be able to do those standards indefinitely. So you're kind of enjoying it while you can, because there's going to be a point where you're not going to be able to do what you're doing now.
And would you say rock climbing has helped you past your like physical limits?
Certainly, it's put you on them because it's different. So, say you were cycling up a mountain, a big climb, or you were running on a big climb. It's completely different to, say, rock climbing. It's a very finite struggle. So, like, say, a run or a bike is a protracted exertion and a mental, whereas this is short term, but you really, really have to give it everything. And some climbs, it's 100% commitment, and sometimes you give that commitment and it doesn't work, and then you think, it will next time, but I'll give it. Yeah.
I think it's important to push past when you're struggling and stuff like that.
Without a doubt, that's probably for us is sort of synonymous with what we've always done.
I think we're very stubborn. We're just going to try till we drop.
We've been like that in all sports that we've done, which is, you know, we'll just push and overtrain, and that's what we've done. And climbing's funny, you kind of have to try not to do that. You can't beat it. Yeah.
Just for the recording, what are your guys' names?
My name's Gary Jones,
And could we get your ages as well, please?
I'm Sue Hawkins
and I'm 60.
and I'm 65.
Brilliant. Well, mountains up.
Yeah, well, we both have sort of been coached and been involved in sport all of our lives, and really sort of everything across the full spectrum of sports. Swimming, cycling, running, everything, basically. And this is kind of like a transition into something else.
And have you gone hiking in the local area here?
Yeah, we're both sort of, Susan's lived here all her life, and I've sort of been here for maybe 10 years, but we've sort of, it's been a big thing. Susan was dragged up the fells by her mum when she was young.
Oh,
Every single one in the lakes, and Susan did the same to her children. And
We just think it's normal.
and I've sort of either walked or run every single mountain in the lakes over like a number of years, and there's a set, it's called the Wainwrights, which is 214 fells, and sort of most people who walk in the lakes a lot try to do it, and it can be done in a short time, it can be a long time. It took me like sort of 20 years over the years to do it, but you can do it in 35 walks if you so choose.
still a lot.
Well, it's a lot of miles and a lot of height climbed over the fells, but it's beautiful here, and we only live like 25 minutes, and it's surprising how many people don't get out into the mountains. But for us, like, it was been a big part of our lives, the lakes. I mean, Susan was as a youngster, like, took horses onto the fells for farmers, and like, and just enjoyed it.
I asked before, what's your favourite route? Do you have a favourite route?
So outside here, when most people start climbing, there's a little part of, not far from Keswick, called Borrowdale Valley, and that historically has a section on there. It's called Brown Slabs, and it's where a lot of people sort of cut their teeth in climbing. They take groups there. There's a lot of easy grades, but over the years it's become very polished, so the grades that were easy are quite tricky. And there's one climb in there particular called Little Chamonix, and as a grade it's not that tricky. It's probably similar to the ones you've seen here today, but the exposure is massive, and you've got like really big drops, and you're exposed, and you're putting your own protection in. You can stop at certain points, and there's unbelievable views of the whole area, and everybody who climbs sort of aspires to do it, even though it's not difficult. It's a beautiful climb, and you can sit on a little ledge where nobody else in the world can go unless you're a climber, and see views that nobody sees. It's a beautiful climb. I did it as my first lead climb, and it's kind of like it's a lovely one to do, but it is a bit, it's kind of not scary, but you've got to think about it. That's my favourite.
Yeah, my favourite too. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, I'm going to take this back now.
It's a
Pack
really
this up.
great climb.
We'll open and close it.
Yeah, that's about right. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Cool. Back clips as well. Right.
That works. Yeah.
Ready, go.
That's not bad.
Have you got something to say about him?
Looks more like a Dilly Jolly, then.
Can I ask you any questions, please?
Oh, yes, the answer will always.
Uh,
Are they saying?
well, Gary.
Encouraging.
Was this?
Why is Gary so famous?
Was this?
Not yet.
Recording.
Yep. When you going?
Good. Just try not to move as well.
Rustly jacket.
What is your name and age?
My name's Gary Jones. I'm 60 years old.
Tell us a bit about your passions.
So most of my passions are physically related. So most sports, but generally outdoor. The mountains, the fells, cycling, walking, climbing. Anything really that's enjoyable and challenging.
So what does this journey mean to you?
Well, I suppose it's something that's evolved over the years.
Sorry, we're gonna have to do that. Now I am.
What is your name and age?
My name's Gary Jones and I'm 60 years of age.
Tell us a bit about your passions.
So most of my passions are the physical nature. I've always enjoyed all sports, in particular running, cycling, climbing, anything in the outdoors which is challenging and I enjoy.
What does this journey mean to you?
It's been a sort of lifelong passion, I think, a physical thing. It's difficult to describe why it evolved like that. I found anything difficult to me was good fun. I sort of could relate it to life. It made my normal day-to-day life seem easy when I came back from doing long endurance things or things that were difficult. And so I found it a very positive influence on the rest of my life.
What did you used to do before you retired?
I've had several occupations, but predominantly I left school. I went into sporting employment, and then I was a police officer for 10 years. Subsequently had a variety of I had my own business. I had an antiques business, a shop. I worked as a carer. I now work for a railway safety company. So that's basically the general background.
That's fine. God, we're professionals.
Would you say you've always been sporty and active?
Absolutely. My whole family's been sport orientated. So from an early age, maybe 6 or 7, we had parents who were involved in sport. My father had his own judo club. He was a British champion. We went with him from a young age, and then I sort of got involved in a greater variety of sporting activities, which I loved.
Do you think that all your past injuries still have an effect on you to this day?
Without a doubt, you naturally, past a certain age, you're going to get age-related aches and pains, but most of my sports have been fairly high intensity, repetitive things, and so now I do have niggles where it affects my day-to-day sport. It reduces the level of my sport, and so there's a bit more of a struggle there, and on a daily basis, where you're pushing yourself to go and do what you would have done naturally before.
Would you say you have a partner in crime, or someone who is with you on your journey?
Yeah, definitely. All of my life, all of my partners had to be compatible with me. They would never have worked. I wouldn't have worked with someone opposite. So yeah, all my partners, and particularly my present partner, is a very motivated sports person and has been all her life. And so you complement each other. You understand, when one's complaining or one needs encouragement, it really works well.
What are some of the hardships you've faced in the past?
In terms of life or sporting?
Both.
I suppose we came from a fairly poor area, northeast of England, and had to really put yourself out to do something different to the norm. And so from probably late teens, I was always looking to improve my life. And I realised that really I needed to do that myself, and so I struggled on to do that. Struggled to have a better, education, a better job, all the things that people strive to do. And from a work perspective, my police work was probably the biggest challenge. Not so much the standard police work, but I did specialist work later on, and that was mentally very challenging, and ended up where you had two worlds. That was very difficult to come back from one and go back to another. A bit like sort of military people experience, where they come back from conflict and fit back into normal life. That was strange. It was difficult to do.
In your sports and hobbies and the walking stuff like that, what sort of hardships have you faced in that area?
Well, I've always set myself challenging goals to do individual things, either events, and so I've done multiple very long endurance events in the mountains, on a bike, running, walking. It always appealed to me. It's the satisfaction of overcoming that. To me, nobody else knows how you feel, only you, and it doesn't matter what standard you are. If you're on your limit, that challenge is a challenge to you. But I still enjoy that. It keeps me switched on. Like when I wake up, I think I need something to push myself now.
What kind of things do you think limit you?
Well, I have time now, and I have more disposable income.
We'll have to redo that one. I won't cut it. We'll just keep going.
Yeah.
Try that one again.
All right then. What was that?
What things limit you? Yeah. So I really have a lot of time now, and I have a bit more disposable income. The things that limit me really are physical condition, really, and that is one that does inhibit you, that you can't do what you want to do, so you have to adapt to that, what you can do. So that's a big thing. Do what you can do.
What kind of physical difficulties do you have?
So through dynamic sport in the past, I have a sore back, I have a reoccurring problem with Achilles, which I got doing a race when I should have stopped and pushed myself too hard. General aches and pains, which from day to day, like with my climbing, both me and my partner always do too much, but it stimulates our brain, so we'd rather feel the aches and pains than be stimulated than sit at home and take it easy.
What do you think would have made this journey hard for you? And what do you think anything had stopped you from doing something like this?
No, I think throughout my life, regardless of what I've done occupationally, I've always made time to do it and never saw anything that could stand in the way permanently. You obviously have to adapt. If you've got a family, you have to work around that. But that's what we did. We would share, we would take turns, we'd do, complement each other so that we could do what we needed to do. It was that was the most important thing, really. Work and the other things weren't as important, even though they were necessary.
What you think it's important to push past the difficulties and the sort of desire to give up then to
Without a
pursue
doubt.
something you're passionate about?
Without a doubt. It's so much easier to go, oh, well, it's difficult, I'll just stop now. Now, there's a lot of times in your life when you have to say to yourself, I'm going to have to do extra here, whether that's physically, work-wise, family matters. You just have to push yourself through that. Otherwise, you're just going to have mediocrity. You're never going to achieve what you want to do or, get the best out of your life, because somebody isn't going to come on and knock on the door and give it to you. You've got to do something about it sometimes. Yeah, that's a big thing.
What would you say to someone looking adversity in the face?
Obviously, it depends what it is. Some things can be overcome, some things can't. So it's learning to understand that adversity and what is it that you need to do? What do you want out of that? What is the realistic possibility of overcoming that adversity? And there's also levels of overcoming that. It doesn't have to be the perfect outcome, but if you aim for the top, you may achieve midway. You aim for midway, and you're not going to achieve anything really. So, but people need encouragement. If you live in an atmosphere where you have people who are encouraging you, that it's a lot easier, and a lot of people don't have that. So it's difficult.
Have you ever considered giving this sort of hobby up?
I would never give up unless I had no choice, i.e. physically I couldn't do it. Mentally I would. It never occurs to me that I would stop doing it. And when I was maybe in my 40s, I never thought I would be limited by physical condition. I was aware I probably would be, but I would hope that I would get to that point and not be limited. But no, I would never want to give up doing what I'm doing. Just adapt, which is what I do now.
Cool.
Time a lot faster.
All right. Because you told me slow.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, okay.
Car. 2, 1. Two, 1. Two, 1. Two, 1. Two, 1. 3, 2, 1. Go, undo it. Undo it. Push it in. Do it in again. Yeah.
Safety.
Yeah, okay.